welcome. Episode 2
of Gab and
Jam. Yeah.
Our topic today is bad guys who did not live up to their villainy. And we were just thinking because we like to watch movies, and we've noticed that there are some people who have this, we're shaking in our boots listening to them describe how terrible they are, and then once the character actually emerges or shows himself, he or she is just really not that hard to defeat. So yeah.
And the first one that we have on our list.
Well, let's do a spoiler alert. If you haven't seen these movies,
that's right.
If you haven't seen the movies, then I'm sorry to tell you there will be some plot given away with some of the discussions.
Right. So if you haven't seen these movies, you should turn away now. You know, just go ahead and leave now. Because, I mean, these movies are old enough where you're thinking that you should have seen them. Mm-hmm. So if you haven't seen them, shame on you. Go watch them. Okay? However, this is, in some ways, I don't know. We'll see. Okay. But the first one we're going to start off with is Smaug, right?
Oh, yeah, Smaug.
The dragon from the first, well, he actually was in the second Hobbit movie.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's when you really see him. He's briefly there in the third movie. Mm-hmm. But Smaug did a lot of talking.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was cool that they had the dragon that could talk.
Yeah.
And, you know, and Smaug was very, very talkative and, you know, kind of had this kind of cool voice. But, man, he went down way too easily. Way too easily. I mean, my man just hit him with an arrow. He's gone.
Yeah.
Done.
That's not good.
How? No. You can't be a bad guy and go down like that. No.
That's right. The one I was most, we're going to move on to the next one, to number 2, that I was most disappointed with was Darth Vader, because I was not a Star Wars person.
Yeah, this is a hard one for me. This is really a hard one.
Well, because I actually loved the making of Darth Vader. Which one was that? Which one was the making of?
So the making of Darth Vader. Well, the whole backstory of Darth Vader was told in the 3 new prequels.
Yeah.
Well, I can't really call them new anymore because we've had these other Star Wars movies. But, you know, there were 3 prequels that came out that were kind of like 1, 2, and 3 that took place before the Star Wars movies of the late 70s and early 80s. Mm-hmm. Right? And so in the prequel movies, we kind of get the making of Darth Vader. Mm-hmm. 3 kind of being a culmination of Darth Vader coming into his own.
Right.
So go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So, and I'm thinking, I loved it. I like seeing the guy change. I could see his emotional change from good to bad, and so I was really liking it. And then I finally went back and watched the original Star Wars movies from the 70s and the early 80s, and I was so disappointed. His underlings were being disrespectful, talking back to him. He just did not seem like a scary guy. Whereas as the movies went on, they tried to make him more ominous, and I really liked that. But again, when I went back, I lost all that respect. I'm like, you know, he's just a chump, because they were just flipping him off.
See, you know, I kind of get where you're coming from there. It's just that Darth Vader is just my boy. You know what I mean? It's like, it's my home team right there.
He was my boy till I found out what he would put up with.
Yeah,
he should have been doing something to those folks. The next one is Voldemort from the Harry Potter movies.
So, once he actually manifests, he seemed very weak and insecure.
Yeah, he really did. No nose meant a lot. If the nose is the way you measure a man, and then that was not. Yeah.
I mean, he seemed pretty weak and insecure. You know, seemed like he was a little bit too easy to beat. Yeah. You know, and
he always seemed like he was whining when he was talking.
Yeah.
Whereas before he was the man, the one who you cannot be named, or whatever it was. Before.
Yeah, before he actually manifested himself.
Yeah.
As he was scarier. Yeah, as he was the threat of the Dark Lord actually reincarnating seemed to be more than when he actually did reincarnate himself. Which, you know, I get it. That's probably all part of the writing and everything else, and maybe that was the intention. with respect to the Dark Lord is that, you know, he had these weaknesses that were so kind of profound. So, but sometimes it's like the way that these villains are cast early in the story, you get this certain sense of invincibility,
right?
And then you kind of find out, well, they're quite vincible.
Right, they're not living up again to their villainy.
Right.
The next one on the list is Apocalypse and...
Oh, jeez. That was so disappointing. From the X-Men movies, the X-Men Apocalypse movie, and they had Apocalypse on there. And if you know anything about the comic book, if you watch like the cartoon or anything like that, Apocalypse is man. I mean, you know, Apocalypse is the bomb. He's just not gonna be easily beaten. I mean, again, he's one of these villains that's right there on that brink of invincibility. Same thing with Galactus. You know, no, you just don't take him down like that. I mean, Galactus, and I'm kind of going a little bit off topic, the Devourer of Planets, you can't just take him down.
Not like that, right?
No, not like that. And Apocalypse wasn't supposed to happen the same way. He just was weak, and I was very disappointed.
Yeah.
You know, as an X-Men fan, I was disappointed. And I can't even say I'm a deep fan, and I gotta think that people who are like deep fans, you had to be disappointed.
Yeah.
That movie was very disappointing.
Okay, now we're moving on to the Devil's Representative, which was the Al Pacino character in Devil's Advocate. His name was John Milton, so you know you're thinking he's going to be a lot deeper and scarier. And what was your problem with John Milton?
John Milton, to be the devil, again, he seemed like he was just way too weak and way too dependent. You know, and maybe there was something kind of going on with that movie where you were kind of casting Keanu Reeves as some type of reverse Jesus type of character, you know, where Milton, being the devil, needed his son in order to fully manifest his power and glory. So maybe there was something deeper happening there, and they just didn't pull it off in the movie.
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, I was very disappointed in the devil. You know, it's like when you bring the devil to a movie, you know, the devil is supposed to really kind of have a lot more than what that character had. I mean, he seemed weak. He seemed to have a lot of talk,
right,
and not much of anything else. Right. I mean, a whole bunch of philosophical babble,
right,
but absolutely no real power manifested. So Keanu Reeves kills himself, and then all of a sudden it just starts all over again. It was weak.
Yeah,
it was a very, very weak movie.
For a movie that was promising.
Yeah, I thought so. And I mean, this is a pretty old movie. I think it came out in what, the 90s or something like that. So really, we're kind of showing our age, and so there are probably people who are younger who are watching this and wasn't even born when this thing was out.
So check the comments, look at the list of movies. Maybe it's something when you have some time, you can go back and watch them.
Yeah.
Our daughter mentioned Rita from the Power Rangers. Again, I'm not familiar with it, but she said Rita gets beat the same way every time, no matter what the villain is. And I guess that's supposed to be, or no, she's the villain. No matter what situation is, she gets beat the same way, and like she should learn that, you know, to step up her game. So we're mentioning that just for the people who may be a little younger. So maybe you are a fan of the Power Rangers and you can connect with that one.
I have no clue.
Me neither.
So that's all I can say.
But she said it was really worth adding, so we did. The next one is Electro from the Amazing Spider-Man. Now, what was your problem with Electro? I like Jamie Foxx as Electro.
Jamie Foxx didn't do a bad job as Electro. The character just wasn't developed well to me. You know, and again, I thought he kind of went down way too easily. You know, I mean, you got a villain who can control electricity.
Yeah, that's
it's pretty awesome. I mean, you know, to be able to control electricity and just throw it at people.
Yeah. And he was looking super cool doing it. So
and brandish it as a weapon. I mean, you know, just really kind of. Yeah, they didn't do a good job with that. I mean, I like the Spider-Man reboot, and so maybe it's gonna get a lot better. I mean, I think the Amazing Spider-Man series, I think they did 2 movies. They did the one with Electro, and the one before that they had the Lizard. in it, and you know, they just weren't very good movies to me. I mean, they weren't the best. The new Spider-Man movie, though, I thought was really good. You know, it had a
twist to it.
Yeah, nice little twist to it. And, you know, a nice blend of the funny along with the superhero thing. Kind of brought back for me, you know, what I grew up with, looking at the Spider-Man cartoon and also reading Spider-Man comic books. You know, so they did a good job of kind of capturing that old Spider-Man feel. So that's a good one. The new one is a good one.
Okay, on the flip side, we wanted to spend just a little bit of time talking about the bad guys who lived up to their villainous billing.
Yes.
And there were quite a few on this list, and we'll run right through them. The first one is Verbal, played by Kevin Spacey in The Usual Suspects. And I don't want to give too much away, but just that.
Awesome. If you haven't seen that awesome movie, you don't see it coming. Actually, that was the one line in Devil's Advocate that Milton was telling Keanu Reeves, hey, you know, they always see you coming, never let them see you coming. He didn't quite personify that in the way that Verbal did. That's all I can say. Verbal personified that to the hilt.
Yeah, he did.
Awesome movie.
Number 2 is Tyler Durden from Fight Club.
Bam.
Which, again, has a plot twist. So if you haven't seen it, you probably want to stop watching right now and see it before you continue on. But he really personified what a villain is supposed to do, and he went beyond.
Yes.
So, yeah,
Tyler's it. I mean, this is kind of an ode to Tyler Durden outfit here.
And we love it. We love it. And I just need his stole, his fur on top of it, maybe some high heel
that would just
white
do it.
Leather shoes would be good.
I'm trying to manifest my inner Tyler Durden.
Yeah.
I need a Tyler Durden.
I'm about to say, Fight Club is one of those movies we can watch over and over again, and you catch something new. Once you know what the twist is, then you keep seeing new breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
The next one is Agent Smith. With the Matrix movies, Bruce has quite an elaborate idea about Agent Smith.
Agent Smith manifests, again, I keep picking on Devil's Advocate. Basically, Agent Smith is the manifestation of the devil. Basically, we have a world that God created for men, right? That's taken over by the devil once it falls, right? And that's kind of what the Matrix represents. And Agent Smith is really that, he is that being that is governing the Matrix. And so he falls once Neo, who's the one, is reborn, right? And he manifests himself as a Christ-like creature. Right, I mean, that's a deep movie. The first Matrix movie, awesome movie. 2 and 3, you can almost keep them, but really, 1 kind of manifests the whole thing. I mean, they did a good job of, at least to me, I can see a lot of parallels with Christianity within that movie. So Agent Smith was that. He was that manifestation. I mean, he makes a deal with Cypher, who's Judas, right, in order to get him to betray Neo. You know, so that they are finally in that situation where he ultimately kills Neo. But when Neo comes to his full glory is when Neo is reborn, which is the whole Christ-like creature. Very, very deep movie.
Layers upon layers.
It takes you to the ocean on that one. Awesome movie.
The next one is Leonard, and this is one of my favorites, is Memento, played by Guy Pearce in Memento. So in Memento, the first time I saw it, before I knew what plot twist was, I felt so sorry for him and so bad for him and all that. And then by the end, you realize what the situation is. But the next time I saw it, I really did not feel sorry because I knew that he really lived up to all of the horror that was in his soul. So
he was using his disability, if we can call it that, as a way to manipulate people. And not only that, I think kind of to manipulate himself. So it kind of ties into Verbal a little bit with Usual Suspects, only the disability in Memento is real. So right. So, that's true. That's true.
Okay, so we have one of those. We have 2 doubles. Belmont, which is Vicomte de Valmont, played by John Malkovich in Dangerous Liaisons, 1988, versus Valmont, played by Colin Firth in Valmont, 1989. The question is, who did it best? Who lived up to the villainy best?
It's hard for me to go against John Malkovich. You know, like he has that one part when he is making his break with
Annette Bening.
No. It's not Annette Bening. It's Michelle Pfeiffer.
That's right.
Michelle Pfeiffer is the one he's making the break
right.
with,
okay.
And actually he's going after Glenn Close.
Right.
And so, and when he's like saying, "Hey, you know, it's beyond my control.
Right.
It's beyond my control."
Right.
When he does that, just so cool.
Yeah.
Malkovich is it. Even the way that he dies, because Keanu Reeves is in that one.
Oh yeah, he is.
You know, and the way. That's the bump. I cannot go against Malkovich. Okay. Now, which one is your favorite?
Well, I like Malkovich, but I liked Meg Tilly playing the virgin role in Belmont. She did better to me than Michelle Pfeiffer.
Okay.
So that was the thing. I really liked her acting, and I felt like she did a wonderful job. So I like them both. They both are the same story, but told slightly differently.
Yeah.
And there are things to like about both of them. But of course, John Malkovich looks better doing everything.
Yeah. Both movies are great, though.
Yeah, so see them both, compare them. Let us know what you think. And finally, we're doing another comparison. The Vanishing, which is the American movie, 1993. Barney Cousins is the protagonist, played by Jeff Bridges. So that's the American version. Raymond Lormoine is in The Vanishing from 1988. It's the French version, or Dutch or something. It's subtitles. And the question is, who did it better? The American one ends, I can just tell you this spoiler, ends very hopefully, whereas the French or the foreign one ends very, tragically. So the question is, who did that character best? What do you think?
Okay, so I think Jeff Bridges did an awesome job with the character. Mm-hmm. You know, he pulled it off. Jeff Bridges is such an awesome actor.
Yeah, he is.
Because you forget that that's him playing that role.
Yeah.
It's like that person actually comes to life.
Right.
You know, I've always felt that way, and we didn't put it on here, but another guy who just did an awesome job playing a villain is Denzel Washington's Alonzo in Training Day.
Yeah, I hated it.
It's like I do not associate Alonzo with Denzel at all.
Right.
I mean, and that to me, he just got completely lost in the character. So I thought Jeff Bridges did a great job on that.
Yeah.
However, I don't think the way that movie ended was realistic.
Right.
Whereas I think the foreign version of the movie was better written. And so I think the ending is actually more appropriate for the type of movie.
Yeah, and the villainy. I'm saying these things happen every day. And
so it made it scarier.
Yeah, it really did.
Yeah.
So we saw the foreign one first. So in our minds, we were kind of looking for a similar, fate, and it was a lot more Americanized. So.
Yeah, it was.
And they kind of took the edge out of it. Okay, what did we miss? If you think we missed something, if you disagree with our list, let us know, and let us know why. And if you have someone that should be on the list, either the bad guy who didn't live up to his villainy or the bad guy who did live up to his villainous billing, let us know.
All right. Yes. Peace out. See you next time.
If you like this program, be sure to subscribe for more Blooming Prejippie fun at www.bloomingprejippie.com.